All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the second session of today's summer conference. I'm so happy to be joining you today. I'll just wait another 30 seconds just to make sure everybody has a chance to join in. Everybody should be able to see my screen and hear me okay, so if you can just type a Y in the chat if you can see a screen share of, should be a title slide. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Yes, and everybody can see the screen share of Energy IQ should be. Excellent. Okay. I always like when there's no technical hiccups at the beginning. That leads for a very promising start to the presentation. So I just like to say welcome and thank you for joining me today for this session about Canada's energy story. Today, I will be talking about the Energy IQ program, and it's an educational resource from Canadian Geographic Education, and it's a long-standing program that's primarily targeted to promote energy literacy among Canadian educators to increase student energy literacy. So it's talking about Canada's energy story, so that's Canada's energy production and Canada's energy transmission and how energy crisscrosses across Canada to get to the people who need it. A little bit about me. My name is Dominique Patnaik, and I am an education program coordinator at CanGeo Education. I have a Bachelor of Education at the Primary Junior Division, and I did my undergraduate degree in English and History. I'm an avid reader, a huge crafter and a gardener, and I love to inspire learning in people of all ages. My email is there as well, patnaik@rcgs.org. So if you have any questions about our talk today or any of the resources that CanGeo Education offers, please feel free to contact me anytime. Aussi, si vous parlez le français et aimeriez que je répète quelque chose en français, s'il vous plaît, laissez-moi savoir dans le chat. So I just said, if you do speak French and you would like me to repeat anything in French, please just let me know in the chat. A few housekeeping things to get started. This is going to be an interactive session where I'll ask you to explore the Energy IQ website and test out different things. So just be sure to have an extra tab or window open so that you can toggle back and forth. On the right-hand side of your screen where you see the chat, there's a few different tabs where you can interact with myself and other attendees of this session. So I'll be asking you some questions throughout, and answers can be posted in the session chat, not the event chat, the session chat. And if you have questions that you'd like answered, I just ask that you use the Q&A tab for this session, just so that I can keep them organized. I'll try to respond to questions that arise as I go, and I will leave time at the end as well for questions. Lastly, if you do have any technical difficulties at all, if you can't hear, if you're having issues with the session, if you just switch to the event tab at the top instead of the session tab, and you can use that chat to speak to an organizer of the conference and they can help you. So getting started, in today's session, I'm going to be giving you an overview of what the Energy IQ program is, all of its great resources, and some ideas of how they can be used in the classroom. As I mentioned, it's going to be an interactive session because I'd like for us to brainstorm together about how the tools of this program could be used in your unique learning setting. So whether that's an in-class classroom, a virtual classroom, a hybrid classroom, maybe not a classroom at all, we're going to chat about how we can use these resources, and for all grades as well. And hopefully we can learn some tips from one another, and we can leave the session confident in bringing the Energy IQ resources into our own learning environments, and confident about helping students learn about Canada's energy story and increasing their energy literacy. I'd just like to show you a little video of the Energy IQ program. It's a little overview. Please let me know if you can't hear it.
Every Canadian student should know where energy is produced and how it is moved around our country. But our energy landscape is vast, complex, and ever-changing. That's why it's so important to have a reliable, up-to-date, and easy-to-understand source of information. Canadian Geographic Education is here to help. Our Energy IQ program is a leading resource for curriculum-compliant information on Canada's energy mix. making it easy to learn and teach about energy topics. The Energy IQ website is the hub for this program, providing teachers with classroom resources for students from kindergarten to grade 12. Need to assess your students' knowledge of energy in Canada? We offer lesson plans, quizzes, crosswords, and word searches tailored to different age groups. Or are you trying to explain the complex process behind nuclear energy production or crude oil refining? There are infographics for that. Looking for some background on how energy is moved around our country or how energy decisions have different impacts on the environment? Energy IQ has you covered with short and fun explainer videos, like this one. Want to take students on a walk across the country and explore Canada's diverse energy mix? Check out our giant floor map. And we mean giant. Curriculum-linked activities help students learn about the different types of energy produced across Canada and the challenges faced to get it from where it is produced to where we live, all while teaching them about Canada's geography through a unique perspective. Download our Energy IQ fact books, jam-packed with bite-sized content and graphics to provide students with an overview of energy production and demand by province. And speaking of demand, students can measure how their own household's energy use stacks up with the Energy IQ Interactive Energy Use Survey. Check out our growing collection of lesson plans and resources that help make teaching energy-related topics easier. All Energy IQ resources are available in English and French, and everything is accessible for free whenever you need it, making it easier for you to help students deepen their understanding of where Canada's energy comes from, how it is generated, and what that means for society and the environment. To start increasing your students' energy IQ, visit our website today. Every Canadian student should know.
Apologies, it always seems to just keep wanting to play and play. So as that video was just a nice overview of what the Energy IQ program is, what I'll be talking about today. It has so many resources that can be used by students in primary grades, all the way through to senior grades and even beyond. I know that I learn a lot from the resources as well. Today, I'm going to be showing you some of our more popular resources and give you an opportunity to play around with them. And as I said, we'll get to discuss how you can envision using these in your classroom. So as they mentioned in the video, I'll be talking about maps, and I'll be talking about videos and fact books and lesson plans as well. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about are the wonderful maps that are in the Energy IQ program. So we offer 3 types of maps. We offer tiled maps, giant floor maps, and our new interactive energy map. So our giant floor map is the giant floor map for the Energy IQ program. It's called Energy Production and Transmission, and it's exactly as it sounds. It's a giant 8-foot by 11-foot map that is designed to fit inside of the school gym. And our giant floor map comes with a teacher's guide, materials, and all the resources that you need to carry out 10 learning activities with your students. So you can help students discover why energy imports and exports are important to Canada. There's another activity about the unique challenges faced by the North. There's another activity about renewable resources in Canada and lots more as well. It's a great way for students to visualize energy production in all 13 provinces and territories in Canada, and where that production is, but then also how it gets across the country. So it's energy production, but also energy transmission as well. So how that energy makes it across the country. I absolutely love this map. Students, I love to be able to follow the route of energy and electricity as it travels from one part of the country, how it crisscrosses its way across Canada. The symbols and colors on the map can help teach students how to read a legend as well, and help them practice that mapping skill. Another great thing that can be done with the giant floor map is that students can practice reading latitude and longitude as well as coordinates as well. So there's lots to do with the map on top of the 10 activities. A great way to help introduce students to the giant floor map and kind of get comfortable moving around it is to have a scavenger hunt with them. And you can ask them to locate different things on the map, like capital cities, energy facilities, or for more senior students, a certain set of coordinates as well. And then I see here, yes, oh, thank you for your comment. Yeah, and 8 years ago, some teacher in the comment section said that she got one and it was wonderful. I did want to let everybody know that unfortunately we're not currently touring our giant floor maps because of the COVID-19 situation. But if you'd like more information for when they do start touring, I'm just going to post a link in the chat. There is a form here you can learn about. I'm just going to try to do two things at once here. You can learn about what the energy production and transmission giant floor map is, and you can also see all of the learning activities online. And there's also a form, so if you'd like more information about when the maps do start touring again, you can fill out that form to be sure that you're kept informed when they do start touring. We also offer a free downloadable and printable tiled map of our giant floor map. So you can print it off and you can have students put it together like a puzzle. And the link to this tiled map will also be found on the link that I posted in the chat. Again, these tiled maps are a wonderful way for students to get involved in mapping. What I really like to do is I like to separate students into smaller groups and have each group try to put together the tiled map. It's like a puzzle in the fastest time. And what's really neat is to see what strategies students use to help try to piece together that puzzle. So some students try to find all the edges first, like you would in a regular puzzle. Some students look for the latitude and longitude and try to figure out the puzzle that way. Other students look for Canadian like geographic landmarks that they know, and then try to create a picture of Canada that way. And the element of that competition is just, it really engages them in the activity. So it's a lot of fun. And what's great is that the tiled map is just a smaller version of the giant floor map. So it can be used with the learning activities with the majority of the learning activities that accompany the giant floor map. So the only thing to consider is that certain materials that come with the giant floor map, like the cones and the chains, would need to be sourced separately, or you just need to come up with a different way of doing those activities. But the tiled map is smaller than the giant floor map. And as I mentioned before, all of the teacher's guide, which contains all of the learning activities, as well as the cards that you'll need to be able to do the activities. Those are all on the website that I posted in the chat. So if you did want to get right into energy at the beginning of the school year, you can do it with the tiled map as well. And now our interactive energy map. So it is our newest map and something that we're very, very excited about. It's a wonderful way for students to guide their own learning about Canada's energy story. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for 1 minute. And then I'm just going to pop open another tab just so that I can show everybody where to find it and what it looks like. There we are. Okay, so this is the Energy IQ website. To get to the interactive energy map, you just go to the tab at the top that says Energy Map. And this is our wonderful new interactive energy map. So what I love about this map is that it's great for young kids, for older kids, because students can really guide their own learning, or you can help guide their own learning as well. Or sorry, you can help them guide, sorry, my words. You can help guide their learning as well. It has different layers that students can play around with, so they can select, and I apologize, my internet will probably be slow. You can select all provinces and territories, or select a specific province or territory. You can select which energy type you'd like to explore. So these are the main energy types that are produced in Canada. So biomass, coal, crude oil, hydroelectricity, natural gas, nuclear, solar, and wind. And you can also look at how Canada moves across, how energy in Canada moves across the country. So I can select oil pipelines here, and I apologize, it will be slow just because I'm sharing my screen. And we will do an activity with this as well. So thank you so much for your comments, Helen. Okay, while it's okay, there we go. So you can see that it's showing me the oil pipelines across Canada, and I can zoom in or out. I can also switch to a map or a satellite view as well. And this is, you know, again, talking about students and their digital mapping skills. You know, you can talk to students about what a layer is and how you turn on and off layers, because not all students might be familiar with that term. For energy types as well, you can select an energy type. You can choose to show all facilities, or you can select specific ones as well. And that will show you the energy facilities of that type of energy in Canada as well. So as I mentioned, what's great about this interactive map is that it can be used in so many ways. So for younger students, a teacher might want to project it up onto a smart board or a screen and guide students through the map while asking questions. You know, so the teacher might decide to choose wind power and talk to students about wind power and ask questions as they are guiding the students through the map. Older students can lead their own exploration of the map or follow guided questions as well. Again, a scavenger hunt is a great activity for students to become familiar with navigating a digital map. So you can ask students to find, before they even turn on layers again, you can ask students to find certain cities or areas that they might know. And that can help them become familiar with zooming in, zooming out, using the scroll to move around the map as well. Okay. So now I'm just going to stop sharing my screen again, or might be able to do it this way. There we go. So now we're going to do a little activity together, just for an example of how this map could be used with your students in a guided activity. So I'll be taking you through this where you'll be asked to think about why energy facilities are located in different regions of Canada. It's a great way to get students thinking about accessibility of energy resources, geographical features, and how they might impact energy. And it's also a great way for students to practice their digital map reading skills. So if you have another tab open, just make sure you don't put it into the same tab where you're watching this. If you go to energyiq.canadiangeographic.ca, and I will just pop that in the chat as well. If you go to that website, and then just as I showed you, you go to the energy map, you can use the energy map to explore the map. You can pick an energy type on the left-hand side. So you can pick whichever energy type you'd like, and whether you'd like to explore all facilities or just certain facilities. And you can explain to students that this is going to turn a layer on their map. So once they select this, they're going to see things appear on their map. And then, as I mentioned, select if you'd like to see certain facilities on the map or all facilities. And then as I'll give you a few minutes to explore the map, but as you explore the map and the information that you see, think about the following questions. So where are these facilities located in Canada? Where are most of the facilities concentrated? So, you know, thinking about around a city, a province or territory, is it around a certain geographical feature. And then once you've done that, and once you've thought about why you think that that is, you can also switch to satellite view. Just where I showed you before, in the top of the map, there's a map or a satellite button, and you can switch to satellite view. And what's nice about that is you can see more geographic features, and that can help students place those facilities and those transmission lines in a more real world setting. And think about where facilities are located. So are they in an urban or rural area, and why that might be. So I'll give you a few minutes to explore, and then as you come up with thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. Or if you have any ideas of other good questions that you could ask students as they're exploring the map, feel free to put them in the chat as well. Aussi, si quelqu'un veut des instructions en français, laissez-moi savoir dans le chat et je peux les mettre les instructions dans le chat. Great, so we'll regroup in 2 minutes. Right, so I hope that everybody had a little bit of time to explore the interactive energy map. If anybody needs more time, just please let me know in the chat. But I'd love to hear if you discovered anything interesting, if any other thoughts may have popped up of how you might use this in your classroom, or questions you might ask to kind of prompt your students to guide them through this map. One thing that I often do is I kind of start with hydroelectricity. I teach the younger grades, and I start with hydroelectricity, and I love to talk to kids about, you know, where do you think hydroelectricity facilities would need to be and why? And that's, you know, a really simple question for younger grades, but it gets students to start thinking about, you know, what resources are they in Canada? What resources are there in Canada, and how do we, how can we develop energy around those resources, if that makes sense? And Donald, yeah, could look at green energy versus fossil fuels. That's I love the idea of comparing as well. You could have that with individual students, or you could have different groups comparing as well. I love that idea. And I really like the idea of using the satellite view as well. What really surprised me is how much detail you could see as well with the satellite view, especially when you're looking at communities where it might be difficult for them to access energy, or for lines to get through. That satellite view can really help students visualize why geographic features can can either help or hinder energy production and transmission across Canada. Well, feel free, if anybody has any other ideas, please feel free to post in the chat. I will continue on with the next slide. So another great feature of the Energy IQ program are the videos. And these are short videos that are available in English and French. And they're wonderful to start conversations with students about certain topics. So things like energy poverty or global energy demand, climate change, and lots more as well. They're a nice, quick way for students to be introduced to a variety of energy topics. Some are more geared towards older, some are more geared towards younger students, so just being mindful of that. And I'm just looking at the chat. How do I close the search box to get a better view of the map? That is a great question. By the search box, do you mean like where you turn on and off the layers? I'm just looking at the map here to see. So unfortunately, you can't close it totally, but what you can do is if you just click on the little arrows, you should be able to help minimize it a little bit, but unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to completely remove it. You would just kind of need to scroll the map around in order to move it away from, like I can kind of drag the Canada a little bit to the right so that it's more in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that, Amanda, but I will keep that in mind. Is there a map that would help with urban planning and land use? I'm just trying to think, John, I don't know if there's one specifically with the Energy IQ program, but we might have one through CanGeo Education. Feel free to email me, Donald, and I can look into that to you and ask some of my colleagues as well. I can see what I can find for you. And I apologize, I forgot one big important thing of the energy map that people might have seen. One neat feature of the energy map is the colored bar down here, which is where you can see electricity sourced by Canada, which is also a really neat feature as well. And yeah, sorry, Amanda, what I was saying is, yeah, you can kind of drag it so it's off to the side, but unfortunately no way to close it completely, but a very good point. So thank you for that. Let me just go back to sharing my screen here. Yes, so these videos, they're wonderful, they're short, they're colorful, they're engaging. Students, as I said, they're a really nice way to kind of start students thinking about a topic and to help, that little like minds-on piece to help open up a discussion about a topic, to see how much students know about a topic, or to help students learn more about a topic as well. And again, I'd like to have a little brainstorming session. Now, I know, if we were in person, it would be a lot more easier to have these brainstorming sessions. But I'd like to talk about how we could have an open-ended discussion and what open-ended questions that teachers could use with this video, which is on energy poverty. So we'll watch the short video on energy poverty. And while you're watching, I'd just like you to think of questions that a teacher could ask their students to spark a conversation about this important issue. It's an important issue not only in Canada, but around the world. Talking about energy poverty, another important thing to remember with all controversial topics is that we're sensitive to the varied situations of students in the classroom as well. So I will play the video, and after we're done, I'll just ask you to pop any open-ended questions that you could think to kind of spark students' discussion either before or after the video.
modern everyday life aren't usually something we spend a lot of time thinking about. When you flip a switch, the lights come on. When it's cold outside, you turn up the heat. When your cell phone or laptop battery is drained, you just plug them in to charge. Or when your batteries are drained, you can grab a snack from the fridge. But what if your home didn't have electricity to run everything you need, or a supply of natural gas for heat? How would you light up the rooms in your house at night, or watch your favorite TV show or hockey game, or even do your homework? More importantly, how would you keep the house warm when it's -30 outside, or keep your food fresh and cook meals? Fortunately, most of us never have to think about that. But for a lot of people around the world, including many right here in Canada, access to affordable and reliable energy is a real problem. This is called energy poverty, and it impacts more people than you may think. Some experts right here in Canada estimate that at least 1 in 5 Canadian households are impacted by energy poverty. That means nearly 3 million Canadian families face sometimes frequent energy disruptions as they struggle to keep the lights and appliances on and heat their homes. This happens if 6% or more of a family's after-tax income is spent on utility bills. By comparison, the average Canadian household pays less than 3%. But there is no typical scenario or single cause for this discrepancy. A number of factors play a role, including the cost of energy within a region, access to the energy grid, socioeconomic conditions, and even a home's general energy efficiency. And energy poverty affects both urban and rural communities all across the country, including families who live in a variety of housing types and households with diverse income ranges. So what can be done to fix all that? Well, just as there's no single cause, there's no single solution. A combination of efforts are required to help provide access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy for all Canadians. That means creating new government policies using advancements in technology and energy efficiency, and building infrastructure to make access to energy fair for everyone. For example, advancements in solar and battery technology are making it possible to create small, affordable, decentralized power grids so households can generate electricity for themselves and distribute excess power within their community. And government programs can help families improve their home's energy efficiency by providing rebates or incentives to make it more affordable to replace an old furnace or drafty windows or use energy-efficient appliances. In the meantime, being aware of the energy poverty issue and understanding all of the contributing factors is an important first step in being able to solve it. To learn more, visit the Energy IQ website, where you can explore an interactive map to see where Canada's energy is produced and how it is transported and consumed. Download illustrated fact books. Discover approximately how much energy your own household uses in a year, and more. So the next time you turn on a light, enjoy a home-cooked meal, charge your cell phone, or crank up the heat in your home, remember, not everyone is fortunate enough to have access to a reliable source of energy to power their lives. But with time and dedication, one day, no Canadian will be without access to affordable and reliable energy.
All right, so that is the Energy IQ video on energy poverty. So I just like to get people's ideas about what type of questions you could, or statements you think you could say to your students before they watch the video, or questions or open-ended discussion statements that you could use afterwards as well. And you can feel free to just post them in the chat. So one of the questions, as I was watching the video, one of the questions that I came up that I thought might be good. Just post it in the chat here. Would be, why would geographic location affect how much somebody spends on utilities like heating? So getting students to think about, you know, how would somebody living in Ontario differ from somebody living in BC, differ from somebody living in Nunavut, and thinking about why geographic location matters. Amanda says, prior to watching, looking at a map of Canada, where might families have difficulty accessing adequate energy to save their lives, or sorry, to save their lives, adequate energy to live their lives? Place a sticky note on this place explaining why you think that. Oh, I love that activity. And that brings in the mapping component as well. So where in Canada might people have difficulty accessing adequate energy to live their lives? That's a really, really good question. And another question that I thought of, and please feel free to continue posting your questions in the chat as they come up. Another question that I had, and as I said, I do teach more younger grades, so this might be a bit too simple for older grades, but might be good for junior intermediate. How does a building's efficiency affect how much money is spent on utilities? What are some examples of how changes in homes can affect cost of utilities? Oh, and then Donald, daily activities. What do you do each day and how many activities are reliant on energy? Oh, I love that one as well. Getting students to think about what they do day to day and how that uses energy as well. And it's great to not only get students to think about, when they turn on a light, but, things that use energy that we might not think of, like food. Food needs energy to grow, to get to us. So students might not think about that as well. Great, thank you very much for those. So I'll move on to the next slide now, but thank you again for posting in the chat. Another great resource offered by Energy IQ are the regional and national fact books. These are colorful and informative little guidebooks, and they're a great way for students to learn about energy production in different regions of Canada. And then there is also one for Canada as a country. There are graphs, maps, infographics, and images to help students learn about different energy types. So as I mentioned, those main energy types that are produced in Canada, which are the nuclear, coal, hydroelectricity, wind, solar, crude oil. I'm forgetting a few others, but those ones. And how those energy types are extracted. So that's an important thing for students to learn as well. And then how those energy types are converted into electricity. So I think that that's an important step for students to learn that there's a lot of different steps that need to happen in order for an energy source to be able to become a usable energy for us to be able to light and heat our homes. So there's the primary energy source, which we talk about on the Energy IQ website. So the primary energy source, of say crude oil, and then it gets converted to a secondary energy source of something that we can use. So gasoline or products made out of crude oil as well. Yes, and Helen said that they're great for visual learners, because that's what I love about the fact books, is that they are very visual. So it's not just reading, but it's also images of how energy types are extracted and how they're converted as well. Another important topic to discuss with students that's covered in these fact books is the economic impact of energy. So students can learn and consider how different types of energy contribute to the economy of Canada and individual regions of Canada. And Donald saying, environmental impact of various energy sources. What do they do to the environment and other living things? Another great question, because another great comparison question, or one that you could have different groups researching different energy types as well, and looking at the different environmental impacts of each energy source. And these fact books, and I will show you how to access the resources later, but you can find them by going to the resource page of the Energy IQ website, and then you just have to select fact books as a filter. So you can tell that I like scavenger hunts. That's the elementary teacher in me. I find that they're a great way to help students practice becoming familiar with a source of information, and to help them kind of extract information. So again, just another little activity that we'll do together that you can do with your students. With older students, you can ask them to look for more complex things or more open-ended questions. For younger students, you can ask them to look for more specific things as well, to make it a little bit different for different age groups. So what we're going to do together is think about, as we're exploring a fact book, I'd like you to think about questions that you might ask your students as they go through the fact book. So again, as I said, some more definitive things like a percentage or a name you might ask them for. And I'd love to hear what type of questions you might ask your students to help them explore the fact books. So what I'd like you to do is go again to the Energy IQ website. And then if you just click on the resources and download tab, and I can just show you here. So if you go to the resources and downloads tab, and then you're just going to click on infographics and then apply. And then, oh, sorry, not infographic, fact books. I apologize. And apply. And then the first one that pops up should be the Canada fact book. So you can just open that one up. And then if you scroll down, you'll just be able to download the Canada fact book. And I'll just pop back to my screen so that you can see the instructions as well. Yes, so what I'd like you to do is, I've created a little scavenger hunt for you here. So once you're in the Canada fact book, if you can locate which energy source generates the most electricity in Canada by percentage, how many wind farms are in British Columbia, the types of energy produced in Manitoba, why is energy production important to different provinces and territories? And again, that might be a bit more of a broader, open-ended question. And then as well, as you're going through the fact book, if you think of any other questions that you'd like to ask your students as well, feel free to pop them in the chat as they come up. But I'll give you just another minute and 30 seconds or so just to explore that. Et aussi, comme toujours, si vous voulez des instructions en français, laissez-moi savoir et je peux les mettre dans le chat. I love that comment, Amanda. These fact books lend themselves to rich mathematics integration. I've never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. When you look at the graphs and the charts and the numbers, if that's what you were thinking, I really like that idea. Great. So I'm just being cognizant of time. I know I haven't given you much time to explore the fact book, but if you would like to post anything in the chat or any other questions that you thought of that you might ask your students before or after looking at the fact book, please feel free to post it in the chat. Again, some things that I was, oh, thank you, Donald. Yeah, the format is very accessible for students. Yeah, they seem to really like to explore them, definitely. One thing that I really like to do with the fact books is to explore the economic contribution of the energy sector to Canada, as well as we do have regional fact books as well. So you can look at how the energy sector helps to contribute to Canada's economy or regional economies as well, which is very important when we're talking about, you know, different energy types and their benefits and challenges as well, and looking at these energy types from, you know, a large overview and a very balanced approach as well. So it's great to be able to look at that economic impact as well. And again, just to go off what Amanda had said, that could even lend itself to mathematic integration as well. So thank you again so much for participating. I really, really appreciate it. The next resource I'd just like to touch on are the lesson plans that Energy IQ. Oh, Amanda, can I order these in color hard copy form? That is a good question. Again, what I'll do, I'll need to check with my colleague about that because I haven't seen them, but I'll just pop my my email in the chat, and please email me that question. And then I know somebody also had another question about another map. So please just feel free to email me and I will look into it and get you an answer. Oh, what's the location of the largest refinery? That is a great question and a good one for kids to go digging through the infographic. I like that question. Yes, as I was saying, the lesson plans, we offer free downloadable lesson plans on our website. They suit elementary to senior classrooms, and there's a wide range of topics that cover the main types of energy produced in Canada as well. So for an example, some lesson plans have students practicing to consider multiple perspectives when examining a topic like the oil sands. Another lesson plan has a student examine their own energy use through an energy audit. And again, with some math involved as well. And through these lesson plans, students can learn to appreciate how much energy is involved in our lives. So as I mentioned before, energy is not just when we turn on a device, but energy is involved in creating the items that we use and consume every day. So the food we eat and the clothes we wear and the desks we sit in. So when students can have that appreciation of how much energy really is involved in everything we do, I think it's an important step to understand our reliance on it and how important it is to understand what the energy landscape is in Canada and the future of that landscape as well. And another great thing with the lesson plans that I really liked when I was going through them is that it really helps to show you that energy is involved in our everyday lives because we use it, but also because there are those in our communities that work in the energy sector, and that it's an important contributor to regional and national economies as well. You know, so if you look at different wind farm projects or refineries or hydroelectric dams or, you know, whatever it is, there are those facilities help to contribute to the economy of the region as well. And again, that lends itself to cross-curricular to math as well. So I did just want to quickly show you how to access the lesson plans. So just as like you when you were going to look at the fact books, you just go to the resources and downloads. And then here you can see you can filter by whichever resource type you'd like. And I haven't gone over the puzzles and quizzes or the infographics, but we do have those as well. But you just select lesson plans. You can select what level you'd like, and then you can select the energy types that you'd like to apply. And you just click apply, and then it will show you the different lesson plans that are available with different tags. So that's how you access the lesson plans. I just wanted to show you that. And then present here. Move away from possibles. Yeah, Donald. Thank you for your comment there. All right, and then the last thing that I'd like to talk about is another unique tool that Energy IQ offers in the online energy survey. So this online energy survey, it's a great resource that asks students to question about their type of, it's trying to get students to think about how much energy they use. So we were talking about, you know, that kind of energy audit and getting students to think about what they do in their everyday lives and how they use energy. So the online energy survey asks questions of students about their type of housing, how they get around, what types of vehicles they use, how much travel they do, and what types of activities they like doing for fun. And throughout the survey, students are offered facts and tips about why things like a deep freeze might impact how much energy they use. And then at the end of the survey, students are given how much energy they use in a year, and then also how they stack up against the average Canadian and person in the province in which they live. And it also shows what that energy usage is equal to. So for example, how many televisions, AA batteries, or light bulbs. Students, especially younger ones, might want to ask their parents or guardians some of the questions beforehand, like the square footage of their house, because they might not know it. And even older students might not know that as well. And it's a great activity to start teaching students about their own energy consumption and to start a conversation about ways they use energy and how they can help conserve it. So one thing to note about this resource is that there's not enough data to include the territories in the survey. So I do apologize, but there was not enough data to be able to do that. I'm noticing the time, so I know that we're not going to have time to be able to do the survey, but I just did want to show you where you can access it. So if you just go to Beyond the Classroom, and then you just go to Survey. Well, thank you for your comment, Donald. Yeah. And Helen, the comparison must be framed and keep it in every kitchen of every household to value the energy. Yeah. So at the energy survey, you just type in your postal code, which will tell you what province you're in and how that province compares with the rest of Canada, as well as a blank here for how you compare and the energy mix of that province. And then you just click Start Survey. And then it starts with the home, so how many people live in the home, your square footage of the home. And then here's where I was talking about how it tells you little kind of did you know facts. So chest deep freezers are on average 35% more energy efficient than their upright cousins. So it gives them kind of neat little tips and tricks as they go through. I won't go through the entire thing because we're running out of time, but I just wanted to let you know, I just wanted to show you where you could access it. And it's a great way for students to be able to see their energy usage as well. And then a great activity, as I mentioned before, to do afterwards is, you know, for students to think about ways that they can reduce their energy usage. And another important conversation to have with students is that, you know, we're not looking at the energy use as a competition to see who uses the least. but the point is not to make anybody feel bad, but to educate ourselves and to increase our energy literacy, and then make those attainable goals for how we can lower our energy use as well. And then just on the website as well, we do have the different energy types that you can explore. So I won't toggle back because that's going to take some time. But if you there's a tab on the website called Energy Types. And if you go there, you can explore, again, the main types of energy that are produced in Canada. And when you go there, you can look at how the energy source is extracted, how it's produced, how it's transported, how it's used, the locations of facilities and impacts on the environment as well. So somebody had commented before about comparing the different impacts on the environment. So this would be a great resource. And it's a great starting point, but it's also a great source for students to use if they are doing a research project on a different energy type. And I find that it's a really nice way to kind of get kids get their feet wet a little bit in the topic of energy without being too overwhelming. And again, the purpose of it is to provide information and to help increase that energy literacy so that students can come to conclusions and can make decisions about changes they'd like to make, or where they'd like to take their research if they're older students as well. And what's also great about the website is that it has a built-in glossary. So some of the words are highlighted and you can click on them and students can see what that word means. All right, so we're almost at the end. See, I have 4 minutes. So there is a draw that I'd like to do. So to show our thanks for your attendance and participation in this session today, we'd like to offer some great prizes. So I'm just going to post. There's a Google form where I just need to collect your name and email address in order to be entered into the draw. I'll just pop that into the chat. If you can't access the Google form, please just email me. Or actually, I'm going to post our main email address, which would be the best one. If you have any issues, that's info@cangeoeducation.ca. If you have any issues accessing the Google form. So we have 3 one-year subscriptions of Canadian Geographic to give away, as well as an energy production and transmission tiled map kit. Thank you, Helen. So I just ask that you just pop it into that Google form because that's how I'm tracking it. Unfortunately, I lose access to the chat. So if you can just pop it into that Google form, that's how you will be entered. And as I said, if you can't access the Google form, just feel free to send an email to that info@cangeoeducation.ca and just address the email to myself. And if you can do so by 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, I'll be doing a random draw at the beginning of next week. So make sure that you post in there. We also have upcoming sessions. I'm not going to go through them all right now, but I will post the link in the chat. There you go. So there's a link in the chat there so that you can see about the upcoming workshops that we have and how to register for those. Yeah, for train, but no subway. Thank you very much, Kelly, for that comment. I will make a note of that as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are at the end of this session, right on time. I'll be around for another minute or two if you have any questions. Again, don't forget to fill out your name in that Google form, just so that you can be entered into the random draw that will be taking place at the beginning of next week. And if you have any questions, again, you can email myself or info@cangeoeducation.ca is another good one. But otherwise, I will wish you all a great rest of the conference. Feel free to post your questions in the chat or in the Q&A. And thank you so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful rest of your conference.